APS. My oldest was a baby and I was looking into daycares. One of the questions I asked was about the teacher's benefits. Why? Because it's important to me that the people who teach and care for our children have a healthy working environment and are appreciated for the professionals that they are. Teachers' working conditions are our students' learning conditions. I'm appalled that the teachers are being required to pay on some health insurance plans premiums that are more than 3 times higher than the central administration. Why is there such a huge disparity in insurance premiums? What is the justification for district leadership paying substantially less than our teachers? That's not leadership. Why does the district continue to devalue our teachers by putting them in impossible financial situations? Please work with the AAEA and come up with another, more just solution. As a community, we all value education. Let's live our values and support our teachers through fair pay and health insurance premiums. Thank you.
Diana Hochella.
Look, we need immediate action. APS must start raising their pay now and commit to a multi-year plan for cost of living increases. We are losing skilled, dedicated educators at an alarming rate. The drastic rise in healthcare costs and years without cost of living adjustments have made it unsustainable for some teachers. New hires are backing out before the job even begins. They are seeing the crisis, the low pay, the extreme insurance costs, and they're going elsewhere. Many teachers are already taking on extra jobs to afford essentials. They're sacrificing evenings and weekends. Some are even selling their plasma to make ends meet. For teachers that are single or for single parents, the hardship is even more severe. They can't rely on a partner's insurance. This forces them to choose between dwindling paychecks or leaving for higher pay and better health care somewhere else. We need immediate action. Raise pay now.
Rachel Goldberg. Rachel Goldberg, followed by Phoenix Perman. Right.
If you could build a dream staff, you would choose to work with the teachers I know. My librarian colleagues are brilliant, creative, generous, and tireless advocates for their students' intellectual freedom and access to diverse, inclusive literature. My wines colleagues are incredibly gifted educators who are constantly coming up with new strategies to support students, new plans, new methods, new energy. Every day, I am inspired by the way my friends work to make meaningful learning happen in their classrooms. I don't say this lightly, and it bears repeating. I work with a dream team of educators. And yet, many of these same people are working multiple jobs just to keep doing this one that they love. They're talking about leaving. They are going to be forced to leave, and this will be a tremendous loss. Our students and schools and communities are infinitely better because these people work for AAPS. The district needs to do everything it can to keep them.
Phoenix Perman, followed by Johnny Thompson.
My name is Phoenix Perman, and I'm a proud Pittsfield Penguin. I genuinely love my school, my students, and the community I serve, but I do not love this district. As a first-year teacher, I worried about job security, faced the possibility of being laid off or involuntarily transferred, and now I have to plan for my healthcare costs to double. This is just the latest example of the district's disregard for the well-being of its teachers and staff, and by extension, its students. OSC staff are strapped with heavy caseloads, special teachers spread thin between multiple buildings, with no behavior interventionists, no building subs, and that's not the half of it. It seems like everyone keeps suffering the consequences except you. I really hope you and your cabinet enjoy your 6-figure salaries while we overdraft our bank accounts, work multiple jobs, and move out of the city we teach in. I've accepted the sacrifices that come with this career. I knew I wouldn't be wealthy, but I didn't think the district I'd work for would make it so hard to stay. This isn't about dollars and cents. It's about our quality of life. We can't keep pouring from an empty cup. How do these choices respect value of respect,
Thank you.
dignity, and the well-being that AAPS claims to champion?
Thank you. That is your time.
Johnny Thompson. Johnny Thompson, followed by Nicole Afton.
We, your teachers, find ourselves feeling completely disregarded, disrespected, and undervalued by a district that seems more interested in cutting costs and maintaining the status quo of administration than in supporting the professionals who are actually in the classroom, directly affecting our students' lives every day. Recently, critical staff members have been involuntarily reassigned. Individuals who sought additional qualifications at their own expense because they wanted to be better at what they love have been exploited and forced into positions they never desired simply to fill the administration's vision for how to solve our budget crisis. The message is glaring. We are not individuals. We are not valued. We are simply replaceable cogs in a system that fails to recognize our worth. The reality is painful. Our work, our voices, our needs don't seem to matter. We are one of the most well-funded districts around, so why is our salary less than others? Why is our healthcare costing so much that some of us are having to face making impossible choices about how to maintain our living situations? There has to be an answer, but those who hold it are likely the ones benefiting from keeping it hidden. You on the board are literally the only ones who can hold people accountable. So what will it take to get you to do that?
Thank you. Nicole Afton, followed by Jessica Rodriguez. Nicole writes, I'm a kindergarten teacher at Hazley. APS teachers need our salary steps to be honored. We need raises that account for the rise in healthcare costs. We go above and beyond for our communities. We are working all day long in schools that don't have resources we need and student behaviors through the roof. And then we still put in extra hours on top of everything else. Pay us or we will find districts that will. Jessica Rodriguez, followed by William Trees.
Board members and Superintendent Parks. This is my 15th year as a classroom teacher in AAPS. I was raised in the public schools here. I'm raising my own child here. I love teaching and I believe in public education. No part of me wants to commute to a neighboring city, but those neighboring cities are consistently honoring teachers' steps and raises. Quite frankly, it feels as though AAPS is seeing me to the proverbial door. Once again, I am utterly disappointed by AAPS and its failure to fairly compensate, listen to, and respect teachers. You cannot expect teachers to repeatedly be treated this way and stay. We've seen many years with no raises, step freezes, and in some cases, made less than previous years. This is untenable for working families like mine. I ask you to show us you value us now by providing real substantial cost of living increases and step movement on a regular schedule to offset this latest rise in healthcare costs. Keep us here.
William Trees, followed by Jessica Hendon. William Trees writes, why is it the central admin healthcare premiums are significantly cheaper than the proposed teacher premiums when they make significantly more? Do you understand how that math makes absolutely no sense? Maybe if you're having trouble understanding, you could ask one of the teachers to explain it to you. Jessica Hendon, followed by Allison Jeter. Jessica writes, teachers need affordable health care and dignified pay. I am very concerned for the future of APS and our community as a result of unsustainable wages staff are paid. I have 3 children in APS and know it is a short matter of time before teachers and students leave in masses. Whatever needs to be done to retain teachers, we need to do it. The school board has done enough damage. You are hurting us all. Allison Jeter, followed by Alyssa Amel Postler. Allison writes, as a longtime APS parent, current APS employee, APS taxpayer, and one who holds a very deep appreciation for the educators in our community, I'm saddened and concerned that I even have to be commenting on this issue. Our educators have been hit very hard the last several years, pandemic, budget crisis, layoffs, to say the least, and they deserve a school board who will start to treat them better and repair relationships, not cause more damage and alienation. An increase in the cost of health care will cause more irreparable damage to the APS. Teachers will suffer. Teachers will be forced to leave for more affordable options. Students will lose educators and routine. They will suffer. This is not in keeping with the core values of the APS. Please do not increase health care costs, and please consider other ways to help solve this problem. Hurting and alienating your fellow humans is never a solution. Please do better by us all and use your power for good. Alyssa ML Hostler, followed by Jessica Sinta.
I'm reading on behalf of Alyssa and the teachers at Bryant Pattengill. Dear Board of Education members and Superintendent Parks, this letter is on behalf of Bryant Pattengill teachers to express our frustration with the current healthcare situation and the state of the district. Last year was hard. Group morale was at an all-time low. It is hard to come to work day after day knowing that at any point you could find out you might not be coming back. It is hard to give everything you have to your students when you feel like your district blames you for their financial shortcomings. This year, we tried to start again. Even though the effects of last year can still be seen and felt, we tried. We pour into our students every day, no matter what. We show up no matter what. We do this without encouraging words from our superintendent, without our amazing intervention specialist who was cut last year, without building subs, and with almost all of our SOE and specials teachers being split between schools. Title I schools were hit especially hard, even though you told us we would not be. Now we are fighting again, this time for our healthcare. Many of us work second, third jobs to make ends meet, and this increase in healthcare will be devastating. Sincerely, the dedicated, extremely frustrated and tired teachers at Bryant.
Jessica Sinta, followed by Jennifer Shaw.
I'm reading on behalf of Jessica Sinta. I am Jessica Sinta, an AAPS teacher. Unfortunately, I cannot attend tonight's meeting because I am currently at my second job, necessary to make ends meet. Necessary to be able to afford to keep my job here in AAPS, because I cannot afford to be just an AAPS teacher. There is something deeply wrong with that truth, and yet time and time again, AAPS fails to rise to the moment. I know I'm not alone in facing the very real possibility of being forced out of a job I love and excel at by my own employer, who one moment praises the work that I and my world-class fellow teachers strive to do each day for our students and community, and the next moment freezes steps. The next moment refuses to respond to teachers and community members after asking them to stay in contact with the board. The next moment presents doubled insurance premiums for the cheapest plan offered. And that's inconsequential. You are people elected to power to enact change. Listen, do the work, pay your teachers.
Jennifer Shaw, followed by Julia Williams.
I am not Jennifer Shaw, but I'm reading on her behalf. After more than 13 years of dedicated service to Ann Arbor Public Schools, I can no longer stay silent about my deep frustration with the ongoing financial challenges that impact both educators and students in our district. As a district curricular leader and the 2024 Michigan World Language Teacher of the Year, I have committed myself to our students and this community. I have chosen to remain in AAPS out of loyalty, even though I could have easily found a teaching position elsewhere. However, I can no longer afford to stay in a district that repeatedly refuses to invest in its teachers, while neighboring districts are entering into multi-year contracts with guaranteed raises, step increases, and affordable health results. We as teachers are being asked to bear financial burdens that we did not create. Over the years, we have faced wage freezes, half steps, broken promises, such as when the district intentionally spent down its fund equity to avoid providing raises. This intentional practice has directly impacted our ability to support our students and our own families. Now, with skyrocketing health insurance costs, I'm facing a projected 9% decrease in my take-home pay for 2025. Thank you.
Julia Williams, followed by Heidi Doherty. And is Julia Williams here? No. Julia writes, as an Ann Arbor Public School alumni and now teacher, I am deeply concerned with the decisions the school district has made, especially regarding health care. School staff deserve a livable wage as well as affordable health insurance. The projected increases will deeply impact everyone and may mean teachers, staff will leave the district. If you care about the future of our children, you will do everything in your power to change this. We cannot afford to lose any of our amazing staff. Heidi Doherty, followed by Lindsay Vocal.
Hello, my name is Heidi Doherty, and I am a middle school teacher at Tappan. I'm here, like many others, to address the healthcare costs for teachers. More specifically, the effect on younger teachers like myself, who make less money than veteran teachers and way less money than the board execs. I want to give you some numbers. I am a third-year teacher and I am on step 4 of the pay scale. My take-home pay each paycheck after taxes, visual insurance, and dental insurance is $1,268. I am living paycheck to paycheck. When I budget every single dollar that I spend out, I have about $30 left for emergencies and spending money. This is not sustainable for anyone. When you throw a higher premium on top of that, I'm going to be going into the negative for every paycheck just to pay the bills. Like I said, this is no way to live. Please consider giving teachers a raise and/or contributing more towards healthcare. If you do not, you will lose students. If you do not, you will send the message to students, families, and teachers that you do not care about them. If you do not, you will not get teachers to fill the holes left by those of us who leave. Give us fair healthcare and fair raises.
That is your time.
Lindsay Vackel, followed by Sarah Robluski. Lindsay Vackel.
I'm speaking on behalf of Lindsay Vackel this evening. My name is Lindsay Vackel. I'm a teacher at Ann Arbor Huron High School. This was my dream job. It is not the school that has made teaching in AAPS start to feel like a nightmare. I don't have job security due to the budget deficit, a fair salary for my years of experience, a financial future, a cost of living increase, or any faith that the Board of Education and central administration are looking out for the well-being of teachers and staff. And come January, I also won't have access to affordable health care. I've been furious since finding out that the central administration pays a small fraction of healthcare premiums on the backs of the high costs coming out of teachers' paychecks. I will be paying $400 more a month for the cheapest health insurance option. I will be making $4,800 less than I was last year with the same exact salary. So chew on that for a second. I've lost a considerable amount of sleep over this. And while I am lying awake at 3 a.m., I'm pondering things like, how am I going to make ends meet? How can I get health insurance elsewhere? What can I afford to get rid of on my budget? Groceries, childcare, medical care? These are not questions I thought I'd have to ask myself at this point in my 14th.
Thank you. That is your time.
Thank you. Sarah Robluski, followed by James Freeland. Sarah Robluski writes, my name is Sarah Robluski and I teach at Huron. I want to address teacher retention. With healthcare costs rising and the district giving zero financial support every year, more APS staff leave for better opportunities in other districts. The people that suffer the most from these losses are the students. We are already seeing unfilled positions, students that haven't had teachers for weeks at a time. This will only get worse. At some point, no one will want to teach in Ann Arbor. I already see people on social media warning others to stay away from our district. People saying, don't work here, don't work there because they don't respect their teachers. Or comments like, Ann Arbor staff and students are great, but their upper administration is a hot mess. Don't go there. These comments come from the community members and fellow educators that see what you are doing and recognize it's becoming a financially untenable place to work. In order to retain our incredible staff and keep students, we need the staff. We the staff need financial support. At what point will APS change? When no one is left? James Freeland, followed by Christian Ochimogo.
Hi, I was a high school student in APS, and then I graduated from the University of Michigan. My English and drama teachers in high school were better than most of the professors I had at the University of Michigan. I got a world-class high school education, literally. The top goal in the BOE is to, quote, APS will lead the nation in educating and empowering every student. Ann Arbor has led the nation in education the entire time I've been alive. But why do we lead? It's the teachers behind me. That's why we lead. This is Ann Arbor, guys. We always rank at the top of all those lists you see about raising children, education, all that stuff. We love that stuff. That's our thing. And what are we left with if we're hemorrhaging teachers, if the best teachers are going elsewhere and we're getting second-rate or third-rate teachers because we're not paying enough? What are we left with? I heard a lot of possible solutions tonight. Pick one. Just get it done. Pay these people their money. It's honestly a little bit embarrassing that we have to do all this. Thanks.
Christian Ochimogo, followed by Jennifer Oldham.
Kristen had to go, so I'm reading for her. I support the phenomenal teachers that my children have had the privilege to learn from over the last 7 years. Every year, I'm continuously in awe of the knowledge, compassion, and care exhibited by my children's classroom and specialist teachers. They're the most valuable resource you have. I ask the district to shift your values, prove that teachers are valued through means beyond kind, empty words and promises. We need our teachers to stay here, and they need to know that they are valued. Twice my child's lost a teacher mid-year. Twice that teacher has not been replaced. Twice he has experienced a rotating cast of substitute for months. Twice he has learned the value of a teacher through that loss. I wish this experience on no one. I'm terrified for the kids at Mitchell. Over the past 7 years, more than half of the teachers my children have had have left. Several more are leaving now, and more are planning even further. Our most vulnerable students are bearing the brunt of broken finances, broken promises, the disrespect of teachers, and AAPS should be ashamed. On this already difficult day, as we know we will soon be facing an assault on public education, we need AAPS to stand up for our teachers so that they can care for our marginalized students. Value our teachers, prioritize our Title I schools now.
Jennifer Oldham, followed by Margaret Baker. Jennifer writes, I'm writing with two concerns. First and foremost, investment in teachers, and more specifically to my neighborhood, preservation of green space for kids and sports. APS must invest in the teachers. All school districts in Michigan receive inadequate funding from the state and are prohibited by law from raising funds through local taxes. Still, APS receives one of the highest foundation allowances in the state and has a long history of not honoring teachers' pay steps. Within the tight budget, APS has prioritized programs and other investments over teachers and their compensation. Dedicated, highly effective teachers are telling us they will be forced by economic necessity to find employment in districts with higher pay and more reasonable health insurance cost sharing. APS must find a way to help teachers afford to stay in the district and prioritize the teachers going forward. Green space. The bond is a separate fund for capital improvements with its own rules and cannot be used to increase teacher compensation. This bond passed with the promises of wide community engagement and environmental stewardship. Next is Margaret Baker.
Hello, my name is Margaret Baker, longtime parent, also PTO president for 9 years. 3 words for the board tonight: commitment. Show commitment to these teachers behind me. They drive the ship. We admire and love them. If you're committed to teachers first, they will be committed to those they serve. They will be able to be committed to those they serve, students and families. Cutting them, then rehiring some of them, sort of, and then announcing this $4,800 increase in health insurance does not show commitment to teachers. It's insulting and not conducive to retaining the backbone of our district. Second, character. Most of us here are either educators, parents, grandparents. Our number one priority for our children is character. Perhaps I've missed it, but I have yet to hear anyone from the board or Ballas apologize for the $25 million debacle. Someone knew of it and was cowed and did not talk about this problem before it became a disaster. From here on, be a board that shows courage and character. Finally, show creativity. Show some imagination. Think outside the box. Every time there's a problem, don't cut teachers. Thank you.
Andrea Huang, followed by Jackie Moylanen. Andrea writes, please do not pass on the burden of additional healthcare costs to our very needed and precious educators in the district. It is shameful that after cutting jobs, forcing transfers, increasing class size, program cuts, and no pay raises for over a decade for some educators, that the district is considering forcing educators to pay more for health insurance. Educators will simply not be able to afford the cost of living at a teacher's salary. 4 of my children go to APS schools, so I know so many of my children's classroom teachers that are forced to work additional part-time jobs on top of their exhausting full-time jobs spent caring for children simply to make ends meet. Please do better and do not choose a health care plan that continues to punish our teachers. Jackie Moylanen, followed by Gina Schneider. Jackie writes, this building is out of control. Children are running both literally and figuratively, taking walkies from adults, harming students and staff daily, and being put right back into the environment where they hurt others, resulting in students and staff to be fearful. The last few weeks, many higher-ups have been in the building, but this has solved nothing, nor is this a long-term solution. Why are children hurting other children and being returned to class? Behavior issues have posed problems in relation to subs and coverage. We are constantly short on subs due to the overall lack of pickup. Once a sub works a job, they usually do not return. Our service providers are part of the crisis team and constantly pulled from their caseload to deal with behavior issues, resulting in compliance issues. For students in a Title I school, consistency and relationship building are important to our at-risk students. Not having building subs has shown a negative shift in behaviors. Gina Schneider, followed by Lena Kaufman. Gina writes, please reconsider the site plan that will pave over the vast majority of the green space that surrounds Thurston Elementary. Please reach out to the full school community and affected neighbors before moving forward with the new building. We treasure the green space around Thurston that students use for recess, PE, rec and ed sports, and the whole neighborhood uses for recreation. The Nature Center is a gift we should cherish. We must be mindful to preserve the maximum possible green space for children and future generations. Lena Kaufman, followed by Emery Lowry.
Good evening, trustees. I'm here at a very serious time for our district. The election results yesterday were not what most of us hoped. And I'm very worried for the future of our students and our teachers and our community. It's time to get laser focused on our mission to help every child in AAPS realize their potential. We have students in our district right now who are trans athletes, students who simply need to have their gender identities recognized at school, even if they're not at home, students who could face deportation, including a close friend of my daughter's. Right now, the financial hardships are very serious indeed, but we can no longer afford to let multiple competing concerns take our eye off of the ultimate reason we're here, and that's our students. Help our students, we help our teachers, we help our community, we help our society. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily Lowry, followed by Hava Levitt-Phillips. Emily writes, impact of learning environment in first grade, A2 STEAM, and questions regarding parental rights and support. That was her topic, but I don't see that she is here. Hava Levitt-Phillips. Hava writes, we must pay our teachers and school staff healthful wages. We must ensure our teachers and school staff can access health care affordably. This is a moral and practical necessity. Sarah Shea, followed by Sarah Golden.
As a Mitchell parent, I know that teachers and staff are the backbone of AAPS. Failing to compensate teachers in ways that allow them to remain in the district equates with failing all AAPS children and families. Our teachers are not easily replaceable because you cannot swap out and swap in relationships. Mitchell teachers and staff work incredibly hard to connect with their students and families every single day and respond to the gross inequities that pervade our district. You cannot ask them to make do with less pay and less support. Keep your promise for excellence in education and invest in our teachers now and invest in our children. Thank you.
Sarah Golden, followed by Megan Kanos. Sarah Golden, Sarah writes, I'm a parent of a current APS second grader and have a young child who I have planned to send to APS as well. I implore you to listen to your teachers and as they are telling you that these healthcare cost increases are not sustainable. District leadership and this board know how important enrollment is. I hear so many conversations with families of young children in APS who are in Arbor who are considering all their options, including private, charter, and surrounding districts. Usually current families like mine can say, yes, APS is in turmoil, but we trust our teachers. We know them and trust their experience and expertise. What happens if we lose these teachers as well? Families know that the high staff turnover is a red flag. Please keep your commitment to increasing enrollment. Please show that our district values teachers by following through on the promised cost of living increases, not by passing on rising costs that result in pay cuts. Thank you. Megan Canos, followed by Carrie Gleaton.
Hello, I'm speaking in regards to the current collective bargaining between the administration and the teachers union. I understand that the trustees are not a part of the actual bargaining table, but that you do approve or veto the final contract and give feedback throughout the process. I am asking that you continue to work on navigating the impact of a rise in healthcare and cost of living for teachers. I watched many of the trustees individually tell the teachers during a break at a previous board meeting, and I quote, "I want you to know we hear you and we're working on it," when the teachers at the time thought to be facing a 20% increase in healthcare costs. I believe that you are working on it, but there are a few questions that I have for further insight into this situation. When you saw the annual increase across the 3 healthcare providers, did you bid out to other carriers to see if better rates could be obtained and consider consolidating the number of providers we currently have? Are CapNIC's costs as our insurance broker also causing this increase? Has the school district funded as much of the healthcare costs as the state allows? And if so, what alternatives do we have to offset the costs for our employees and to keep our talented teachers? Thank you.
Carrie Gleaton, followed by Chelsea Brooks. Carrie Gleaton.
Hi, I'm Noah Carroll, but I'm reading for Carrie Gleaton. So, Carrie Gleaton says, as a union representative for Carpenter Elementary, we're experiencing a high amount of stress and uncertainty. Our Title I school was devastatingly affected by layoffs and involuntary transfers, which further resulted in many staff leaving our school or district. We have many staff who rely on our healthcare, single-parent staff members who cannot afford to budget for a $400 loss per month and don't even qualify for the cash in lieu. Our building morale is lower than ever. We do not feel valued, and many of us are worried about how we will be able to feed our families, put a roof over our heads come January. This is a disgrace. We need your support more than ever. We need to be the priority. We cannot accept less, and we have nothing left to give other than our letters of resignation, because we cannot afford to work here any longer. Thanks.
Chelsea Brooks, followed by Meredith Miller.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Brooks. I grew up in Ann Arbor and graduated from Pioneer High School. I am a social studies teacher at Clegg Middle School. Last year, I was involuntarily transferred, and I wasn't informed of this move until the second to last day of school. Last school year, I spent every day uncertain if I would still have a job. This school year, my worry has shifted to whether or not I have a financial future as an educator. I can't afford to live in my hometown because I don't make enough money. Now with the healthcare cost increase, about 15% of my take-home pay will be lost. To put that in perspective, my take-home pay will barely match my mortgage in Ypsilanti. My wife is also an AAPS teacher, so we don't have another healthcare option outside of AAPS. I love teaching, and I especially love teaching in Ann Arbor. I always knew I wouldn't get rich as a teacher, but I was told there was benefits, like retirement, job security, and healthcare. But as a millennial teacher, I don't have a pension. Last year's budget cuts showed me that I don't have job security, and now I don't have affordable healthcare. I feel like I'm at a crossroads. Do I stay in a profession I'm passionate about, or do I leave to secure my family's financial future?
Meredith Miller, followed by Anna Ludi. Meredith writes, APS teachers should not continue to bear the burden of the district's financial mismanagement. Their well-being is critical to the well-being of our city's kids. Please consider alternatives to raising their health insurance premiums. Anna Ludi, followed by Megan Bryant. Anna writes, I'm commenting in support of the district's hardworking educators advocating for more affordable health care options. At the start of the school year, Superintendent Jazz Parks wrote, we have an opportunity to refocus on what truly matters, our students. Together, we can create an environment where every student feels valued and inspired and experiences the joy of learning. We are in this together. I agree. To achieve this vision, educators need to feel valued and cared for, and one way to do that is by offering high quality and reasonable priced healthcare options. Megan Bryant, followed by Timothy Vaduva.
Hi, I'm not Megan, but I'm reading on her behalf. My name is Megan Bryant, and I have been in Ann Arbor as a speech-language pathologist at Tappan for 3 years. I love working with students in the school environment on their reading comprehension, articulation, pragmatic language, and fluency skills. However, the lack of stability and respect from the district makes it increasingly difficult to be able to do my job effectively. In Ann Arbor, we love to teach students that if their basic needs are not met, it is difficult for them to meet higher level needs and perform at school. The basic needs of staff, including being able to afford health insurance and the increasing cost of living, are not met by working for Ann Arbor Public Schools. We have been given the change in insurance rates that has been passed on to us as members of the AAEA, and I was shocked to learn that my plan has gone up about 102%. Meanwhile, my paycheck for providing speech and language services to approximately 50 students with IEPs has not changed, despite assumptions made by district in the spring when the budget was being discussed. Currently, the district is missing 5 speech pathologists. These staff members left to work in other districts due to uncertainty of pay, raises, and increases in insurance. Per their FTE, this corresponds to approximately 190 students missing out on speech and language
Thank
services.
you. That is your time.
Ma'am, please leave the microphone and allow the next person to speak. Thank you. Timothy Vaduva, followed by Lee Kloss. Timothy writes, Dear Trustees of the Board of Education, Superintendent Parks, and Executive Director Alston, as a parent of 3 elementary students, I am concerned about more teacher turnover. We heard from dozens of educators about the hardships they are facing at last week's board meeting. It's heartbreaking to watch our educators despair as their career and district collapses around them. Our district simply can't afford to lose more of our educators. This pattern of devaluing teachers and watching them leave is doing irreparable damage to our district, communities, and children. Please honor their contracts and reduce the health insurance costs. Leah Kloss writes, quality teachers deserve quality treatment from the board, the administration, and all of us. Parents are now learning that teachers are facing a steep hike in healthcare premiums with no salary increases. The proposed increases are losing proposition. At Clegg Middle School, a new hire, a desperately needed school counselor, declined the position after reading the truth about how APS teachers pay 7 times more than admin for these benefits. Our district, known for high-quality education, will lose high-quality educators as they become unable to pay for childcare, pay their mortgages, fix their cars, and feed their children. New talent will not come to the district with this reputation. Learning that the bond committee has failed to survey current staff about their needs and strategies for capital improvements is just one more way we fail our teachers. When we care about people and their needs, we ask for their opinions and we listen to them. As parents, we demand that you stop and rethink this premium increase. There are other ways to pay for this. That concludes public commentary.
All right. Thank you all. We appreciate hearing from our community. The Board of Education would like to thank everyone who spoke and shared their comments tonight. We would like to note that all written comments are publicly available on board docs in the public commentary section of tonight's agenda. Mr. Parks, are there any points of clarification?
We will be sharing some comprehensive clarifications on the matter of health care during the superintendent's update.
All right. Thank you so very much. Next, we have reports from associations.
I do have a report from the PTOC. And, I'm sorry, I didn't know, the AEA. Whoever would like to go first.
Okay. Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Parks. Thank you for the space to speak tonight. First, we would like to share an open invitation to the PTO Council's Community Resource Fair in person. Oh, thank you. Perils of being short. To the PTO Council's Community Resource Fair in person on Monday, November 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Pittsfield location of the Ann Arbor District Library. Note, this is a location change from the original Mallett's Creek branch. There will be over 12 local community organizations there to present resources and information, and we hope many from the community will join us. As always, information is widely available on our Facebook page. Next, the PTOC would like to highlight some of the actions that school PTOs have taken in the past month to support our teachers. PTOs have provided snacks to teachers, provided dinners to teachers who stayed at work for an extra 5 or 6 hours for parent-teacher conferences, and grants have been given to teachers to support their classrooms. These simple gestures are far too small to fully demonstrate the appreciation that we have for the people who show up each and every day to teach, respect, care for, support, and love our children. Teachers, we are truly in awe of everything that you do each and every day. We appreciate your willingness to sacrifice time from your own families to support our children. We appreciate the financial sacrifices you make to provide materials for your classrooms so our kids can have outstanding experiences day in and day out. The PTOC would also like to acknowledge the willingness of teachers to collaborate with parents, always seeking solutions to help our students. Teachers, paras, office professionals, TAs, principals, vice principals, counselors, social workers, and everyone who works with our children actively work with parents daily to care for our district's children, living up to the district mantra of every child, every day.
This is why we, the PTOC, are disheartened to hear that this district's leadership is unwilling to care for our teachers. We are calling upon the Board of Education and Central Administration to care for our teachers the way our teachers care for our students. Teachers' working conditions and our students' learning conditions. Teachers have not received meaningful cost of living increases in this district in over a decade, while surrounding districts, including Flint and Rochester, have approved raises for teachers increases in benefits. This devalues our teachers and hurts our children. We will continue to lose the high-quality, talented, and caring educators to surrounding districts if our district does not make it affordable for our teachers to continue to work in Ann Arbor Public Schools. We have heard from teachers speaking at board meetings and in other public venues about how they have taken extra jobs, not just tutoring on the side or a summer gig, but waiting tables, being delivery drivers, and freelance writing during the school year. Time working a second job is time teachers spend away from working for our students. It is time they don't have to care for themselves to decrease stress and burnout. Teachers having to work second jobs to make ends meet is not good for our students and should not be the norm in a community that places such high value on education.
Teachers now face unprecedented increases in their healthcare costs. It is imperative to secure solutions so that this problem does not create additional financial burdens for our teachers. We will continue to lose high-quality teachers over this issue. New teachers will not come to AAPS, making it harder to fill already hard-to-fill vacancies if our teachers continue to be devalued and their salaries are not competitive. Experienced, highly effective teachers will find jobs in other districts that compensate these teachers fairly or simply retire. Many younger teachers will seek out other careers, leaving teaching altogether. A community letter addressing this concern over teachers' well-being and your support of them has been circulating, and I'm assured you've all seen this by now. That community letter has almost 1,700 signatures from concerned parents and community members. Simply put, we need our district leaders to collaborate with and care for our teachers, just as our teachers do for our students. As we in this room remember, the finance expert who was sitting to my left stepped outside, explicitly said that raises and steps were in their assumptions as the budget was being cut. You budgeted for this. Why are you making teachers fight so hard for what they deserve? Let's make sure we create an environment where our teachers want to stay and continue to shape the future. Thank you.
Way up. Tall people problems. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, Ann Arbor Public Schools community, and fierce AAEA members that are here tonight. Thank you. As we face the realities of the election yesterday, it's important to acknowledge our victories and to reflect on the work ahead. First, I want to congratulate the candidates endorsed by the AAEA who secured their positions in the State House. These victories are significant not only for the individuals elected, but for our community and the future of education. I'd like to recognize Morgan Foreman, who will represent the 33rd House District, Jimmy Wilson Jr. for the 32nd House District, Jason Morgan for the 23rd House District, Carrie Reingans for the 47th House District, and Jennifer Conlon for the 48th House District. Additionally, I want to commend Debbie Dingle, who successfully reclaimed her seat, and Alyssa Slotkin, who was just announced a winner of her seat. Yes. These victories represent the continued support for education and for our community's values. We look forward to working with our elected leaders to advocate for the needs of our students, our educators, and our schools. At this time, I'd also like to express my gratitude to the outgoing Board of Education trustees, Trustee Dupree, Gaynor, and Carrie Harrow. Crystal, what are you going to do on Wednesdays?
Oh, man. Take a whole nap.
Well, we thank you for your dedicated service to the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Thank you for your leadership. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to our new trustees, Glenda Wilkes, who's here in the house, Leslie Wilkins, Don Wilkerson, and Torcio Feaster, who returns for a 4-year term. I look forward to collaborating with all of you as we continue to address the challenges and opportunities facing the Ann Arbor Public Schools in the coming years. I'm also happy to report that the WISD Special Education Enhancement Millage passed. Yes, that's big. That is huge. Which preserves those reimbursement costs to all the districts in Washtenaw County and will bring in $25.8 million annually to the Ann Arbor Public Schools. As I have shared before, one joy of my role is the opportunity to get into our school buildings to witness firsthand the incredible work our teachers and staff are doing. Recently, I had the privilege of spending a morning at Mitchell Elementary School. We've heard Mitchell mentioned a lot lately, where I had the opportunity to participate in Vera Schwenkel's vocal music class. It was a delightful and inspiring experience. I even had the chance to play percussion instruments alongside her students. And it reminded me of the power of hands-on learning, music, and creative expression. Unfortunately, my visit also highlighted a serious concern. While I saw the incredible work being done by our educators and staff, I also witnessed a growing challenge: disruptions to the learning environment caused by dysregulated students. These disruptions are becoming more frequent across all our schools, but they are particularly pronounced in Mitchell. We have students who are struggling, and their needs are impacting their peers and the learning environment as a whole. This is not just a Mitchell issue, it's a concern that is continuing to show itself in other schools as well. However, it's clear that Mitchell needs more support and additional resources to address this growing crisis. These disruptions are not simply behavioral issues. They are a sign that some of our students require more intensive mental health support, behavioral intervention strategies, and additional staffing to ensure that all students can thrive in a safe, focused learning environment. I urge you, the board, to prioritize solutions that provide the support our schools need to address these challenges. Our teachers are doing extraordinary work, but they cannot be expected to solve these systemic issues alone. We must invest in resources, staffing, and strategies to support our students, especially those whose behaviors are a reflection of deeper needs. This will require a collective effort and a commitment to providing the support our students deserve. Lastly, as you heard from many of the heartbreaking testimonials shared tonight at public commentary, I want to focus again on a critical issue that is not only affecting the well-being of our educators, but also the ability of this district to recruit and retain talented teachers. That issue is the skyrocketing cost of healthcare for our teachers and actually our principals as well, and the cost sharing formula that the district uses. Let's talk about the numbers. The renewal rates for our healthcare plans are staggering. For teachers enrolled in the Priority Health HMO plan, the out-of-pocket costs will increase by $3,440 a year, making the total annual out-of-pocket cost a whopping $10,308. Now imagine that for a teacher on step 4 whose take-home pay is $35,000. That's a third of their income. For those on the Priority Health PPO plan, it's even worse, an increase of $4,661, bringing their annual total out-of-pocket cost to $9,237. That's the cheapest plan. And for those who choose the Mesa ABC plan, the increase is a staggering $5,203, bringing their total out-of-pocket costs to $19,674 a year. It's important to note that these increases are not isolated to teachers alone. Principals are facing similar hikes in their cost sharing. But here's where the situation gets even more troubling. No other employee group in this district is bearing these disproportionate costs. In fact, most other district employees, including the highest paid central administrators, have the option to select these healthcare plans with annual out-of-pocket expenses of only $1,000. Far less than what teachers and principals are being asked to shoulder. What does this tell us? It tells us that teachers are being asked to subsidize the healthcare costs of everyone else in the district. This is not only unfair, it is unsustainable. These rising costs are already having a tangible impact on our educators. Many are being forced to take on second and even third jobs just to make ends meet. We've heard from teachers who are leaving the district for non-teaching jobs or considering other districts that value their educators more appropriately. Just recently, I learned of 2 new hires who rescinded their job offers after learning about the high out-of-pocket costs they would face for healthcare in this district. The cost of healthcare should not be a barrier to the recruitment and retention of teachers. When we cannot keep the teachers we need, when we cannot afford and attract the best and brightest to our classrooms, it is ultimately our students who suffer. Our ability to provide a quality education for all students is directly tied to our ability to support and retain a strong, dedicated teaching staff. So, what can be done to address this crisis? Well, as members of the board, you have the authority to take immediate action. You have the power to demand that the district move to the PA 152 state-mandated 80-20 cost share for healthcare premiums, something that would ensure fairer, more reasonable healthcare costs for teachers. This is not just a matter of fairness, this is a matter of the long-term health and stability of our district. If we fail to address this issue now, we will continue to struggle to retain the talented educators our students need and deserve. I urge you on behalf of the teachers in this district to take action. The time is now. If we want to build a district that attracts and keeps the very best for our students, we must begin by supporting those who are in the classroom and working with students directly today. Trustees, direct the district to bargain in good faith and to honor the dedicated teachers you employ by providing desperately overdue raises, steps, and fair health care compensation. In closing, the AAEA is committed to tackling the challenges we face today and those we will surely face in the future after yesterday's election results. We look forward to collaborating with you to take on the hard work ahead. Together, we can continue to make a positive difference in the lives of our students and the future of our district. And as I said pre-pandemic, you can't say that you put students first when you put teachers last. Thank you.
Thank you so much for both of those presentations from our associations. We're at committee reports. We have reports from the Bond Committee, Finance, and Performance.
Ready?
Trustee Biscuit.
Thank you, Vice President Dupree. The bond committee met on Friday, November 1st, and will meet again on the 15th. We had 5 guests, including a sitting trustee, in addition to the committee members and the rest of the team. We heard public commentary, and that could be seen, those comments, on board docs. We added to the agenda 2 things, a brief summary and overview of the bond, what a bond is, and the substantial penalties that could be incurred should we decide to stop the bond or do any major modifications to what we've promised to the community. We also added the issue of staging, and after a robust discussion amongst the team, we will recommend to the executive committee that this will be presented to the rest, more formal presentation will be presented to the rest of the board, again, depending on how the executive committee decides to address that on agenda planning. We also heard about our proposal that we'll hear tonight about a chiller at the Skyline High School. Again, our committee welcomes all questions and discussions. We will again be meeting on the 15th. And of course, everyone is welcome to view us via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Beskett. Trustee Ward Smith.
Sure. Our meeting was basically about the audit, which you're going to see this evening. We met also on November 1st, so what we went through, and I know board members also had time to meet with the auditor and ask individual questions after that was presented to the committee. I think all of us have spent time, so this will be, we're prepared for this, and so we're waiting to let you share that with the entire community.
And Trustee Mohammed? Trustee Mohammed? Oh, Trustee Ward Smith also. Okay.
Performance.
Yeah.
Performance. Oh, yeah. Performance committee, myself and trustees Carajero and Basquette met, and we went over MSTEP, PSAT, and SAT scores in detail. And those will be presented in the future, in the near future, for the entire community to see.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Next, we are at the superintendent update.
Thank you, Trustee Dupree. This first board meeting of November, which is the official month we dedicate to honoring Native Americans and celebrating the rich cultures, traditions, histories, and important contributions of Native people. We honor and celebrate Native American ancestry every day in our classrooms and across our schools in AAPS. This time of year also kicks off our fall theater arts season, where our 3 comprehensive high schools are, as well as community, are over the next couple of weeks doing their theater productions. So we encourage everyone to participate and go support those school programs and their theater programs for their plays and musicals this fall season. Trustees, because of the clarifications that we have on healthcare, the rest of the superintendent's update this evening can be found in board docs, and we will use the majority of the time for the superintendent's update on some clarifications that Ms. Langford is going to bring forward regarding healthcare.
All right. Good evening, trustees. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Like the mic's not on. All right. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, staff members, and the community. As Superintendent Parks stated, I am here this evening to present to you an update on our health insurance benefits. So I'll go through this presentation tonight, delivering the timeline and actions that the district has taken regarding our benefits renewal. So on September 24th of this year, we met with our benefits renewal, our benefits administrator, CAPNIC, who is our third-party administrator for benefits. And I will address something that came up during public commentary. CAPNIC insurance is not paid through the district or doesn't cost anything through the district. CAPNIC insurance is paid through by the insurance companies. So I know that question arose, so I just wanted to answer that. When we met with them on September 24th, we learned of unusually high increases in our insurance, which was, of course, a concern for us. Our priority health insurance, which 90% of our employees subscribe to, was going up 24%, MESA 16%, and then Blue Care Network 6%. The rationale for these increases was due to a higher number of claims and usage over the past 24 months. On the next page, we'll talk about the two items of major concern that arose based on our healthcare increases. Although we already had contracted agreements in place with our bargaining teams, we were concerned that the increases would be imposed upon some of our staff. Our current agreements with our AAEA leadership, AAEA teachers and our Quad A principals stipulates that the district will increase its insurance contribution by the percentage increase of the state hard cap. As most of you probably know, the hard cap increase this year was very minimal. It was only 0.2%. So that meant that the district would only increase its contribution as stipulated by the contract by 0.2%. If the district did nothing at that time, it would mean that our employees, our teachers, and our Quad A leadership or Quad A membership would incur the cost of that 24% increase. The other major concern that the district has that's been brought up this evening are that the increases placed us, the district, in violation of Public Act 152. Public Act 152 regulates the maximum amount that the district can contribute for coverage of insurance. And there are two portions to Public Act 152. There is the hard cap option that we selected. The district has been under this hard cap selection since at least 2011 when it came into place. There's also an 80-20 component to this, to the Public Act 152. That would mean that the district would pay up to 80% of the employee's benefits and that the employee would be responsible for 20%. Although this would put us in compliance with Public Act 152, the additional cost to the district would be a minimum of an additional $6 million on top of what we're currently paying for our healthcare cost alone. If we made no changes at this time, we would be in non-compliance of Public Act 152. What this means is that the district would be fined 10% of our state aid. 10% of our state aid equals $16.5 million that AAPS could stand to lose. You could see why the district needed to take some immediate actions to address these concerns. As the district is concerned with retention and recruiting, we wanted to do whatever we could to ensure that our employees would not get this cost added to their benefits. So some of the immediate actions that we took, the first thing that we did is that we demanded to bargain with all of our union groups. Again, although we had current agreements in place with all of our groups, we wanted to go to them and figure out a way that we could reduce the cost of the insurance increase. We attempted to renegotiate rates with Priority Health Insurance. Just to give a little bit of history of what has occurred with Priority Health, over the last 5 years or so, we have had about 50 to 60 claims that were over $50,000. In this last year, we had 91 claims that were over $50,000. Last year, Priority Health did come to us with a 15% rate increase. We were able to go back and renegotiate with them at that time down to 5.6%. with the understanding that the claims would decrease this year, and unfortunately, as I just stated, they did not. We requested rates from all major insurance carriers doing business in Michigan. These rates were either unfavorable or we had insurance companies that just declined to quote based on our claims experience. We also went out and seek comparables from other school districts. The overall findings, which I'll go through here shortly, were that plans show much higher deductibles and co-insurances than AAPS, and that the employee insurance contributions in other districts were higher than AAPS. On the next page, I'll go through some of the comparable data. So this is our teacher priority health HMO. If you look there in the yellow, I forgot I had the pointer. Here we go. If you look there in the yellow in that first row, the deductible amounts and the medical co-insurance state currently for our current plans is zero. You can also see that the copays for our office visits and insurance or prescriptions is also low. The cost for that insurance is a composite rate of $10,308 a year for our current staff. Before I go to the next column, I know we've talked about composite rates versus single tiered or single two-person and full family. I'm not sure of the history of how we got to composite rates, and it's not that the district is not interested in looking at single tiered and full family rates, but that is, again, something that we need to negotiate with our union partners. Back to the comparables. If you look at Saline Schools there, the insurance offered through Saline Schools, the deductibles, I don't think this is working. Oh, here we go. The deductibles are low. The low end is $375. The high end is $3,200 for deductibles. If you look down below there, it shows the tiered rates, which most districts have tiered rates, that the employees are paying. The highest cost for those tiered rates is $9,135 for a full family for those insurance plans. Moving down, we have Detroit Public Schools, who offer 3 different Blue Care Network options and then a HAP option. Want to point out on this one that you do see that they have a plan that has 0 deductibles and 0 coinsurance. If you go down here to look at the cost for those plans, for a full family, that plan costs $10,920. Next, we'll talk about our PPOs and the comparables that we have from those. The very first column, again, stipulates the deductible and the deductible and the coinsurance currently at $250 and $500 for individuals versus full family. The cost for that plan is $9,237 next year with the new rate increase for 2025. Going to the next column, Plymouth Canton Schools, who offer the same insurance coverages and costs to all employees, regardless of what you do in the district, has 6 different plans, Blue Cross Blue Shield plans that are offered that range anywhere in deductibles between $100 and $4,000. If you look to the richest plan that they have that has that lower deductible of $100 and $200, the cost for full family for that plan is $16,604. Going to the next column, Dexter Schools has currently 4 different MESA plan options for PPOs. The lowest plan deductible is $500, the highest $4,000. And going down, again, you can see the cost incurred for those plans. We then have Rochester Schools and DPS listed there as well. So going back to immediate actions that the district took regarding the benefits, even though, again, we had agreements in place, we immediately reached out to our union partners and sent demands to bargain for all of them. We met, the district requested CAPNIC to go and find plan offerings that employees could have that would offer quality and affordable coverage. On October 3rd of 2024, the district met with CAPNIC Insurance, who presented to us 3 new insurance plans that we could present to our employees. These were a priority PPO, an HMO, and an HSA. These plans offered reasonable deductibles and coinsurance. The district would contribute to the HSA. These plans, for some, the employee contribution cost is less out of pocket for some of these new plans than current plans, and I'll show those examples here shortly. The new plans would be in addition to the current plans that we offer, and this would give the employees more choice. They would have the option of 6 plans to choose from. Moving to the week of October 14th through 2024, October 14th through 18th of 2024, the district held bargaining sessions with all of our employee groups. We proposed the new plans in addition to the current plans, and we went through the cost for each of those plans as they were very affordable and offered good quality. Non-bargained employees, which includes cabinet and central office, were also notified this week of increases in their plan, and this week meaning October 14th through the 18th, of increases to their employee contribution towards insurance. We have heard this evening many comments regarding cabinet and how the insurance that they currently have, the contribution is lower than others. I'm not sure on the history of where that came from, but I will state that we are in fact raising the employee contribution for those members, and we plan to do so in coming years ahead. Capnick also presented new plan designs that evening and reviewed new contribution rates. So what we have heard from our teacher partners during public commentary and through news media regarding benefits is an incomplete narrative. The reason this narrative is incomplete is, one, the district did not raise the insurance premiums. The insurance premiums went up and were raised by the insurance companies due to usage of plans. The district immediately looked at other options for insurance, as we have a vested interest in retaining and recruiting staff, so we want to make sure that our staff are not impacted by insurance that they may not be able to afford. And thirdly, the district followed the current contract agreement in the percentage increase that we would be offering to teacher staff. So what you have before you is the actual proposal that we formally proposed during bargaining on October 16th of 2024. The first sheet there lists our current plans. We have a Priority Health HMO, a Priority Health PPO, and a MESA PPO. If you go down to the bottom line here, that's in blue. I know it's hard to read because it's small there. The current cost for this insurance plan, the HMO, is $6,867. With the increase to 24%, as stated earlier, it would go to $10,308. That second plan, our current PPO, the cost is about $4,500. With the increase, it would go to $9,237, and these are all annual employee contribution amounts, by the way. And then the MESA plan currently costs $4,468 and would be moving to $19,247 with the new increase. The second page that we have here are the additional plan offerings that were presented at bargaining again on October 16th of 2024. What you see there in red are the changes in the deductibles and cost for coinsurance for the plans. And then again, if we go down to that bottom line there, the cost for these plans are illustrated. So the new Priority Health HMO would cost approximately $5,500 a year. The new proposed Priority Health PPO would cost about $7,200 a year. And the new proposed HSA would cost about $4,300 per year. If you go back just one slide, please. If you would note, all of these new plan options are far less than the current plans that we have presented available. So again, this just illustrates that the district did take immediate action, went out and got additional quotes, and presented to our teachers, again, back on October 16th, these proposed insurance plans. All right, the week of October 28th through November 4th, the district has reached memorandums of agreements with 3 of our union groups. These union groups did present our plans to their membership prior to signing MOAs. That is ASME TSP, which is our tech group, our principal group, Quad A, and ASCSA, which happens to be a mix of kind of coordinator and supervisor positions. The district is continuing to bargain with our remaining unions, our AAE groups, our office professionals, paraeducators, and our teachers, We had a session, our second session on last Friday, November 1st, and we are in the process of scheduling additional dates. So our future plans and next steps are the following. We plan to collaboratively agree upon healthcare benefits plans with our 3 remaining union groups. We will work with Catholic Insurance to schedule informal sessions. We have our first scheduled for tomorrow evening so that employees are able to hear about the new plans firsthand. We have open enrollment occurring November 22nd through December 6th. And then finally, we would like to create a healthcare advisory committee with district and union representation. Once the district and union representation get together on this committee, we're hoping that we can come together to reach some common ground on benefits, to simplify our benefits and look at standardize our benefits. This would better prepare us for next year when our benefit negotiations are again open. And that concludes my presentation.
Yep. A question I had, the thing that you have tomorrow evening is for the groups that have signed a memorandum of understanding, is that correct?
That's correct.
They'll come and hear the plan?
Correct, as well as our non-bargaining groups.
And then what we currently have, I just want to understand this, what we currently have is composite, which means if I'm a single teacher in my first year, I'm paying the same rate that a family pays.
That's correct.
Okay. And what we're looking at as possibilities, and I think you call those tiers?
Tiered
okay.
rates, yes.
And so what we're looking at with these new ideas is that as a single person, I could have a different plan than my colleague who has a family of 2 kids and a husband. My rates would be different than them.
That's correct. We would look at a rate for a single person, a 2-person, and then a full family.
And do you know why, and maybe you don't, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but why is it that the composite has been the way we've done this when I'm looking at our beginning teachers, they make the less amount. I mean, I know it's negotiated, and that's really the answer to a lot of these questions is, I know that benefits are negotiated as a package, and sometimes it's really hard to compare one group to another, because it's like, well, they negotiated to have more of this and this, and they'll pay a higher this, you know what I mean? So perhaps it was just a trade-off in negotiations, but that, obviously that was what was arrived at.
Yeah, I absolutely understand what you mean, as we have different negotiated items with all of our different union groups, and I don't know where the composite rate started or how that came about.
Well, I like the idea of a teacher that is only a single person gets to pay a lesser amount than a full family.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
So you may have said this already, but what happens if there wasn't an agreement? I know these plans were already presented, but if there was no agreement between the union groups and our administration, what ends up happening with the insurance?
So if we don't have an agreement by the time we need to start open enrollment with our 3 outstanding union agreements, we would go with our current contract language. So as I stated at the very beginning, our current contract language for teachers stipulates that we would contribute 0.2% to their healthcare contribution. So any additional cost would be incurred by the teaching staff.
Trustee Basket.
Thank you for asking the question, Trustee Mohammed. It's very similar to what I was going to ask. So again, just to summarize, we, administration, the board, started this conversation, this inquiry in September.
Correct.
We went to union leadership October 16th.
So we went to union leadership prior to October 16th requesting dates to bargain, demanding to bargain. Okay, and then we had our first session with our teachers union on October 16th.
And these options were presented.
Correct. The 2 slides that I showed in the presentation were the actual proposed changes that were presented.
And then we again went on the 1st. So there were 2 meetings.
Correct. There have been 2 negotiation sessions thus far.
So I will just say, as one trustee, I was very surprised to hear the very, very sincere, hurtful stories from our teachers during public commentary, because I understand where they've been. I mean, I found out 3 days before I gave birth that we had no health insurance that we thought we had. Believe me, I totally can empathize and understand the concern. And therefore, that makes me a little angry, if you will, that people have been put under the stress of not knowing that there are viable options that were not shared with them. We did take a proactive stance. And I am very sorry to all of those who did not know and shared their stories. So I am just saying that, again, we have some viable options. We do have bargaining units who have reviewed them and agreed to them.
Yes.
And we have 3 that we need to understand where they stand before November 22nd.
Yes.
Because that's when open enrollment starts.
Yes, we have 6
No, that's when it
viable.
starts. The 22nd.
Open
or
enrollment
6th.
starts November 22nd and runs through December 6th.
Thank you.
Any more questions, trustees? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Langford.
Thank you.
Don't get sick and blame the teacher. Appreciate that.
Gavel it down. Gavel it down. Crystal. Gavel.
Did you need to take? Okay.
Point
All
of
right.
order.
Okay.
Point of order.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our next section B, which is the annual financial audit report.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 minutes.
Roger. Okay,
Then
we're
our
going to take a
auditors
5-minute break before we do the report. Okay.
Get set up.
Thank you. There you go. Okay. So we're calling our meeting back to order, and we are going to move forward with our annual financial audit report.
Thank you, Trustee Basket. Trustees, as you...
Trustee Dupree.
Hold on.
Point of order, hold it. We got conversation.
Okay. Trustees, as you know, all school districts in Michigan are required by state law to have an annual audit, and we have our partners here from Plant Moran to share our audit, which, as a reminder, is a look back at where we have been, not necessarily a look forward as much as it is a look back. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Jennifer Chambers, who trustees have had an opportunity to talk with prior to this evening regarding any questions or comments you may have had kind of individually about the audit as she prepared for this evening's presentation. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Chambers.
Thank you. Great, while they queue up the slides. Thank you to the Board of Education for having us here tonight in order to present the results of your June 30th, 2024 audit. Before we provide an overview of the financial results, I wanted to discuss the deliverables that you would have received related to the audit. You should have received 3 items in your board packets tonight. The basic financial statements, which are labeled financial report, the federal programs audit, and the letter entitled Report to the Board of Education. So to begin, as was mentioned, all school districts in the state of Michigan are required by state law to have an annual audit. As a result of our audit work, we rendered an unmodified opinion on both the financial statements and the federal awards report. This is the highest form of assurance that we as auditors can provide to indicate that the financial information is free of material misstatement. As part of our audit procedures in the financial statement report, the district was subjected to bond and sinking fund compliance requirements, and our audit procedures include evaluation of those requirements. We did not identify any compliance issues with the costs that we selected for testing. As part of the federal programs audit, the auditor selects which programs are selected for testing annually. The Special Education Cluster Program, or IDEA, was selected this year and was found to be in compliance with federal regulations. We have performed the audit of the district's financial statements in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and in accordance with government auditing standards. The district, and more specifically the finance department, is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles. The auditor's responsibility is to render the opinion on those financial statements. The audit is conducted over the actual financial results of the audit as of June 30th, 2024. While there is a budgetary comparison schedule contained within the financial report that presents the budget information, the audit is only on the actual results, and the budgeted amounts are only presented as information. As part of performing the audit, we perform a thorough evaluation of independence to ensure that there are no threats that impair our independence. This is something that we take seriously and that we monitor throughout the year to ensure that objectivity is maintained. As part of the deliverable entitled Report to the Board of Education, we provide a qualitative summary of the results of the audit that accompanies the audit opinions that I mentioned previously. There are several key areas that are outlined in the letter that include the fact that we did not encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. We did not have any disagreements with administration. We did not identify any audit adjustments, and there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls. There were no findings or question costs as it relates to the federal programs audit that I mentioned. The primary focus of the graph presentation that we're about to get into will focus on the general fund, and that is the primary operating fund of the district. However, we wanted to highlight the significance of the capital improvements program as well.
as this is contributing to the overall advancement of the infrastructure of the district. With the district having the bond and sinking fund programs that you have, this alleviates the burden on the general fund, which would otherwise have to bear the cost of capital repairs and investments. This is a meaningful aspect of the district's overall financial picture. This year, there was about $58.7 million in current year capital investments from the 2019 bond series, number 2 and number 3. And then in the sinking fund, that millage continues to be a critical element, particularly as it relates to capital repair needs, with about $6.2 million in current year investments from that fund. Now looking on the other side, there continues to be challenges that the district is monitoring. This includes balancing investments in staff and services with overall fiscal responsibility, continuing to focus on working within the current funding structure. Looking at investment in funding for staff resources to have the ability to focus on mental health and well-being efforts, as well as a focus on retention of fund balance that is at or above board policy and state law requirements. So now we'll move into the financial highlights. We'll first take a look at the general fund. This is a general fund budget versus actual schedule, just at a high level. This takes a look at revenues versus expenditures, with revenues on the left, expenditures on the right. It shows you the approved budget amount to start with from June of 2023. That's highlighted in the teal bar on the left-hand side of each of the two graphs. The amended budget from June of 2024. So that would have been your final budget that you just amended a few months ago. That's in orange in the center section. And then the actual audited results, your actual financial results as of June 30th, 2024. So from a revenue perspective, you started with your original budget with about $318.3 million of anticipated revenue. That final budget, you expected about $315 million of revenue. And then actual revenues came in at about $316.6 million. On the expenditure side, you originally budgeted for about $311.8 million. The final budget came in at about $323 million. And then the actual results came in just slightly lower than that at about $322.5 million. And then later on in the presentation, we will start to break down further into the details of revenue and expenditures. Like I said, that graph was just at a very high level, revenues and expenditures. So now taking a look at the chart on this page, this again continues to look at general fund budget versus actual. Here we're looking at really the timeline and the impact on fund balance as it relates to those revenues and expenditures and where the fund balance started to where it ended at the end of the year at June 30th, 2024. So in terms of how you kind of read this chart, on the first column numerically, we've got that amended budget. So that was that June of 2024, or your final budget. And then the actual column highlighted or in a box of the audited June 30th, 2024 figures. At the top of the chart, we start with your June 30th of 2023 fund balance. So where did the district start the year from a fund balance perspective? And then working down, what were the revenue, expenditures, and then ultimately, what did that mean from a change in fund balance perspective? And so originally, from an amended budget perspective, the district had forecasted to utilize about $8.1 million of fund balance. From an actual perspective, the district utilized about $5.7 million of fund balance. And what that means is at the end of the year, at June 30th, 2024, the district's ending general fund balance was about $7.1 million. We've got the variance presented here
in terms of actual dollar amounts, but also from a percentage perspective. And I think what's important to highlight here is because the district has a very large operating budget overall. When you look at the percentage variance, the amount that differed from budget is very small. And when you really put it into perspective, if the budget were only $100, then the revenue figure would have only been off 51 cents, and the expenditures off only 16 cents. And so from a revenues and expenditures perspective, the actual results did come in very close to what was budgeted. If you look at the bottom of the chart, we've got a couple of key metrics that are incorporated as well. This just really helps to put fund balance into perspective. And so we've included fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, as well as fund balance as a percentage of revenue for what was budgeted and what the actual numbers are. And then we've also included days of operation. This is really just incorporated to again, put fund balance in terms of if the district were to no longer have any revenue source, how many days would your fund balance be able to continue you through? And so with a fund balance of about $7 million, with your current expenditure budget, the district could operate for 8 days.
What's recommended as a solid amount of days? I mean, I know there's a range, but are we talking?
Probably about 45 days.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah. So moving on to the next graph, we're again continuing to look kind of high level at general fund balance. We're taking that metric that I mentioned on the previous slide of the fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, looking at it from a 10-year horizon, and really trying to look at that history of that metric, again, just to kind of put fund balance into perspective. So we've got 10 years presented here, and then we've also got the fund balance with a dollar value presented at the bottom of the graph. The board's policy in terms of the fund balance level to maintain is having a fund balance percentage as a percent of expenditure between 6% and 15%. And that's what's denoted in those red boxes. And you can see here in the time horizon that's presented, really since about 2016, that metric has been kind of on a downward trajectory. In 2023, that was really the first year in this time horizon presented that the fund balance percentage dipped below the board's targeted percentage. That would have been at 4.1%. And then the ending amount in 2024 is at 2.2%. The next graph continues to look at general fund balance and really providing a couple of different indicators or thresholds. Again, as you just continue to think about fund balance in different levels from a target perspective. This utilizes the 2024 revenues and expenditures for the district to point out what different fund balance levels would be under these different indicators. So there are 4 primary data points provided here. The first at the bottom is an orange bar. This indicates what the actual June 30th, 2024 fund balance of the district is. So that's the $7.1 million that I mentioned previously, or the 2.2% of 2024 expenditures. Then moving up one level into the gold shaded bar area, that is what's referred to as the early warning level. So that level is 5% of revenue, or about $15.8 million. This is a threshold that's established by the state and is an indicator that the state has set forth to essentially identify districts that are in need of monitoring to assist the state to make sure that they are making sure that they're kind of monitoring districts that could be at a level of fund balance, so that you don't dip too far down in financial distress. Moving up again into that green section, the next level that's highlighted is 15% of expenditures. That would be a fund balance of about $48 million. This 15% is often referred to as a suggested target. The Michigan School Business Officials is one group that recommends this as a potential target of fund balance. As a reminder, for Ann Arbor's policy, that would be at the high end of what your current policy is, where you have a 6 to a 15% target. That would be at the high end of your current board policy target. And then at the high end of the indicator graph here, we've got the current statewide average. The most recent data that we have is as of 2023. And the statewide average at that time is 21.9% of expenditures. So in Ann Arbor's case, that would mean a fund balance of about $70.5 million. And so that's what your fund balance would need to be if you were at 21.9%. So this just provides you, again, some different data points as different indicators as you continue to evaluate different fund balance targets. So I will turn it over to Miranda now. She's going to go through some of the details of general fund revenue and expenditures.
Thank you, Jennifer. So this current slide is going through our general fund revenue. So this breaks out the different revenue sources. The greatest source of revenue for the general fund is the foundation allowance at 59%. As you are aware, there are two main components affecting the foundation revenue, which is enrollment, which you have influence over by your ability to attract and retain students, and then the state allocation of foundation allowance, of which you have no direct control. Comparability, this was about 57% last year. Moving counterclockwise around the pie chart, the next largest source of revenue at 19% is revenue received from sources such as state categorical revenue, federal grants such as the special education funding received from the state, or other local revenues. Continuing on is the 9% of the total revenue, which is the pass-through of the 147C. And then lastly is the 13% of the total amount received from the county for special education. A little deeper dive on that foundation allowance number mentioned. A key component of the funding from the state is the per pupil foundation allowance. We've assembled a summary here to show what has occurred with the funding over a period of time. Following the early years shown on the graph, when significant per pupil funding cuts were enacted by the state, this has increased in funding were nominal for a long period of time. It has only been within the recent past where foundation allowance has increased. The foundation allowance for 2024 and 2025 is expected and currently is the same, so no increase occurred in the current year. This slide then documents the student enrollment comparison history to go off of the revenue from the foundation allowance. It shows the enrollment based on the fall FTE count. As you can see, enrollment has changed relatively consistently from 2014, increasing through 2019, and then decreasing in 2020 through 2024. Now that we've talked about the revenue side, we're going to turn it over to the expenditure side. The total expenditure is approximated $322.5 million. Of that total, the combined salary, benefits, and retirement pass-through funding represented about $262 million, which is approximate 81%, which is expended on salaries and benefits for district employees. 15% relate to purchase services, which include any EduStaff, substitute teachers, technology, transportation, maintenance, custodial, as well as any bus drivers, substitute teachers, related costs. And then 3% relates to supplies and materials, as well as an other category. Diving in a little bit more on the salaries and benefits, which make up the largest portion of expenditures, Using the information, you're able to see the portion of expenditures passed through related to retirement contributions versus total salary and wages. Total salary and wages approximated 150.6 million, or 57%, which is the majority of the overall expenditures in this area. Additional total contribution to the MIPSers represented about 28% of that total salary figure. So to add those two together to get the retirement contribution and the salary and wages. To go into the salaries and benefits by functionality, this graph shows the instructional support versus school administration, general administration, and operating and maintenance, as well as a category for other. Of the $262 million in costs in these categories, the most significant is where these costs are incurred within the instructional and instructional support, which represents 87%, in school administration at 7%. 94% of that is going directly into schools and school-based personnel. General and administrative is the gold on there, which represents 1% of the 7%. Sorry, I lost my spot there. Relates to school leadership, 2% relates to general district leadership, and 1% relate to operating and maintenance. And then approximately 3% relate to all other departments not included in the other breakouts, such as human resource services, athletics, and business services. As you can see in the teal component, instructional and instructional support, and orange component, which represents that school building administrative, is about 94% of total expenditures on salaries and benefits. These two components are the items affecting the student's experience in the building and show the majority of the dollars that are being expended on direct student activities. This slide represents the retirement funding for the MIPSers over the years. As a reminder, all districts have collective bargaining agreements and are mandated to participate in the statewide retirement system. The district has no input on contribution rates, investments for the systems, but they are told what the annual contribution rates will be. I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to go over key takeaways.
All right, so wrapping things up, we've got a few slides on key takeaways and just a couple of items for the board and the administration to continue to be focused on into the future. So from a key takeaways perspective, as it relates to the audit and just things moving forward, you can go ahead and advance it to the next slide. The district continues to demonstrate a focus on operating fiscally responsibly, as evidenced by the clean audit opinion, which is the highest form of assurance, as we mentioned, that a school district can receive. We observed, the continual monitoring of monthly financial activity and steps that are being taken to reduce expenditures for future fiscal years. Additionally, we identified that there are additional monthly monitoring reporting procedures that have been implemented. So there's clearly a continued focus on, operating and fiscally responsibly into the future. Additionally, the cost containment and improved efficiencies will need to continue to be a focal point into the future to continue to yield positive financial results. The board and administration have continued the commitment to oversee the district for long-term viability. And although we didn't talk this year about those emergency COVID-19 federal funds, in the past years, we have talked a lot about those and the fact that those were invested in the health and well-being of students and staff. And those had meaningful impact in prior years that helped contribute to the ability, to pay things forward and, continue to invest in competitive pay. looking forward into just the overall school environment, not unique to Ann Arbor Public Schools, but all public schools in Michigan. The focus on fund balance levels and just making sure that that remains a priority is something to make sure that is being actively monitored. Retirement rates, the final graph that we included, retirement continues to be a very significant cost category for school districts. Those rates continue to increase. They're projected to continue to increase. And so this just is something that is and will continue to be a significant element of the ongoing cost structure. Keeping an eye on all of these components, just as you continue to balance all of the aspects of the financial elements of a district, are all things to continue to monitor. And then, just closing things out with next steps in your environment. These are all things that have been talked about. Just the importance of, being long-term focused and ensuring that really building fund equity to ensure sustainability for the long term, and making sure that expenditures that are being committed to, those that are built systemically into the system, are understanding the long-term impacts of those and how that will impact the organization for the long term, will certainly impact you going forward. So we appreciate the opportunity to present tonight. Appreciated the dialogue that we were able to have as we reviewed the slide presentations in advance, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have as well.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Any questions? Mohammed?
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. So just looking at even just the fund balance percentage, it looks like we were close. A little bit better than what our amended budget was. So it's, even though it looks better, it's not really a big difference if you think of that. So, definitely, and this is not really a question, but just, verifying what you've been saying. We need to think about the long term. So as we know, like yesterday's results of the elections, like how it can impact school budgets and things like that. So I appreciate the key takeaways that you've shared. So.
Any other questions?
Nice explanation. I appreciate it. I know we asked a lot of questions in committee and when I met with you, so I feel I have a thorough understanding. So thank you.
Okay, well, that was quick. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so guess we can move on to first briefing. A moment for everybody to get,
She's presenting remotely, Miss Dr. Kellstrom, and we're bringing her in now.
Do steel tour shows.
Oh, okay, I think I'm good now. Thank you, Ms. Ozinski. Dr. Kellstrom is coming up on the screen. She is presenting remotely this evening to present to trustees a first briefing on the cybersecurity grant and the selected solution recommendation. As trustees know, ITD, our instructional technology department, searches for local, state, and federal funds and grant programs to offset our technology-based purchases. So the grant this evening is one such funding source that the district uses in order to purchase our technology-based materials and supplies and programs and tools. So here, Dr. Kellstrom is up on screen, so I will turn it over to her.
Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Parks. Last summer, Ann Arbor Public Schools was awarded a state and local cybersecurity grant funded by the Department of Homeland Security through their Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This grant is administered locally through the Michigan Department of Technology Management and Budget and in partnership with the Michigan State Police. Ann Arbor Public Schools was awarded a $147,936 grant for up to 2-year endpoint protection licensing, which helps safeguard the data and workflows associated with individual district-owned devices that connect to our network. The grant awards aligns nicely with ITD's cybersecurity goal of expanding cybersecurity guardrails and safeguards to protect our systems, our end user safety, security, and data privacy against exploited threats, and also our cybersecurity roadmap. To fulfill this procurement process, as outlined by the grant, we worked in close partnership with Ann Arbor Public Schools purchasing department, the policies, and the FEMA procurement checklist. And so we put together a really great RFP. It was sent out to 1,125 companies, received a notice. 223 companies viewed the RFP. 50 companies attended a pre-proposal meeting. 19 companies submitted proposals, and 16 companies in the end submitted all of the requirements. A technical team from ITD reviewed all the proposals with regard to compliance to the RFP, qualifications of the company, compliance of the proposal to meet the scope of work specifications and the proposed fees, a proven track record, and experience with the scope of work. What was unique about the 16 proposals that we reviewed, there were 11 different endpoint detection and response solutions proposed. So cybersecurity is a very vast field still, with many tools out there to select from. The technical team built an additional cross-comparison product chart to closely review all of those different solutions, and we narrowed it down to one product based on the scope of work as highlighted in the RFP. The technical team from ITD recommends Sentinel Technologies for a 2-year total contract not to exceed $208,725 for the purchase of cybersecurity endpoints for district-managed devices and professional services. The funding sources for this purchase include $147,936 for the grant from the grant, bond program funds where applicable on items such as professional services, and then the general fund of roughly $28,000 a year for the next 2 years. What's interesting about this purchase, this grant was a year in the making, so we've used a different tool, not the one that we're going to get. So we'll actually make a $42,000 reduction in yearly cost by applying this grant and right-sizing our products. Although these grant funds typically don't cover the full award of what you're trying to do, the grant is really built around allowing organizations to grow cyber practices, to right-size or update cyber products, and to temporarily reduce the financial burden or footprint as we continue to build our cybersecurity tool profile with a sustainable budget in mind. 2 other notes of importance are this grant that was given to us through the SLCGP grant team. They recognized that perhaps they didn't offer enough funds, so they've encouraged us to write a year 2 grant, which we will be doing in the next couple of weeks. And then just last Friday, we submitted a grant to the FCC for a next year, hopefully budget reduction in cybersecurity services. So during COVID really brought out a new level of cybersecurity that all districts had to grow into without budgets really being available. So we started, and then we seek all of the grants available, as Superintendent Park says, to offset our cost on a yearly basis. We like to leave a lean footprint if possible. So I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
Any questions?
I'm just really glad you're out there scouring for money.
We try. We honestly, we're every year our goal is to put money back into the district, and we have that success rate so far. We've been very fortunate.
Okay, so the next item.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kellstrom.
Thank you. And then our next item, item B. So Hazley and King Elementary School playground equipment placement.
Thank you, Vice President Dupree. We have Mr. Rice and Mr. Bean coming forward to present this item. After some recent safety inspections of our AAPS playground facilities, several pieces of equipment have been identified as posing safety hazards for our students. And the findings indicate that some structures are outdated, and again, some of those safety features have been compromised. So we have some recommendations for coming forward this evening for some new playground equipment that Mr. Rice will talk to us about for King and Hazley Elementary Schools.
Thank you, Superintendent Parks and Board of Trustees and the Ann Arbor community. King and Hazley playground equipment was inspected in August and September. So we felt that we needed to come right away because they are obsolete. And we tried to get parts for them and they're unavailable. So we had removed all the damaged pieces off the equipment to make it safe for the children. That was our top priority. So we are recommending the NU 3444 with 360 slide and a Comet spinner structure from Snyder Electric, which doesn't mean anything to you, but the elementary kids would get it. The cost is $49,049 for each playground. You can see the pictures. So it's a little bit bigger than what they have. And so we're getting the best cost because it is part of the cooperative. So the total cost of the purchase is $98,098. Snyder Recreation is a supplier, and we will purchase this through an Omni cooperative purchasing program. And the fund for this purchase will come in the sinking fund. Any questions?
Any questions?
Just a comment, if I may.
Trustee Biscuit?
Thank you, Mr. Rice, for presenting this, and the pictures are very helpful. If folks take a look at the pictures, we notice a little child in a wheelchair who can participate in the playground activities. Really appreciate that sense of inclusivity. And I know I asked this in committee, but I try to ask this in public so we know. The thought around installation and completion of the project, please?
Well, once it's approved by the board, we'll order it right away. We have contacted our installer. He's the one that does our inspections and all our repairs, and he said if it comes at a reasonable time, he could have it done before Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Thank you. Okay. So the next item, item C, is custodial consumable supplies vendor recommendation.
Thank you. We obviously have to have essential items in our schools like toilet paper and trash can liners and soap and things of that nature. So we also have coming forward a recommendation for custodial supplies that Mr. Rice will talk to us about now.
Physical Properties Department is requesting the board approval for custodial consumables, which includes toilet paper, trash liners, soap refills, and hygiene soap. So those are the main ingredients that we purchase as a district. And the rest of all of our other stuff is purchased by ABM, our contractor. This is a cooperative, it's the TIPS Cooperative. We recommend the award to Coleman Sanitary Supply out of, I do believe it's Rochester. Wrote it down. I don't see it.
For 494,000.
Yes.
100?
Yes, with the 20% contingency, and they're out of Roseville. And this will come from the general fund.
Any questions? Okay. All right, and moving right along to item D, Skyline High School redundant HVAC chiller and geothermal improvements recommendation.
Okay, thank you. We have Ms. Corona coming forward maybe Mr. Bing too, I'm not quite sure. We are going to hear from them about the HVAC chiller at Skyline that is being recommended because it would provide some cooling redundancy to the building while the geothermal system is removed and repaired and improved. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Corona.
Thank you for letting us bring this forward today. It is about putting forth a redundant cooling system. Right now, Skyline High School does not have a chiller and solely relies on the existing geothermal field for its cooling. We are seeing increase in heat, extreme heat and extreme cooling needs. So this would allow us to take the existing geothermal field offline in order to perform any modifications or improvements to that system while providing cooling to the building and giving supplemental cooling during those extreme heat waves that we are starting to see more frequently. We did put this out for public bid, and we are recommending the contractors listed for approval. It does include a 15% contingency. It would first require the installation of the chiller and then the improvements to the geothermal field that would occur at the existing practice field next to the stadium. Work would start, by the way, this spring.
This spring.
And I believe this project is also applicable, or we could apply for IRA tax credits, which I think Mr. Bing can provide further information.
Awesome.
And the funds come from?
Capital program.
Capital programs, which is the bond.
All right, thank you.
Was there any additional questions, comments, anything? No? Good to go. Thank you. All right, so we're moving right along to second briefing. Were there any changes?
No changes, Vice President Dupree, to item A, the Huron Pioneer Skyline High School Auxiliary Athletic Field Synthetic Turf Replacements, no changes.
Okay. And then item B, which is Pioneer and Skyline High School Pool Scoreboard.
No changes to that item either.
Okay. Item C.
No changes to the district-wide snow removal services contract recommendation.
And item D, our therapy animals policy.
No changes since first briefing, which incorporated the edits that trustees made or suggested and recommended, and also went through legal as well to ensure that those changes were in line with all of the details that we had agreed upon. So
there were just a couple of additions, I'm sorry, in the policy language that our attorneys recommended.
I'm sorry.
For us, I'm so sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
While they're doing that, I just wanted to acknowledge that we as a board received some information, some concerns regarding the synthetic turf replacement recommendation.
Right.
Just wanted to acknowledge that there are some in the community who are not happy with this decision. I am just one trustee, and I know we discussed the pros and cons, if you will, of the turf replacement, and I continue to support the purchase of this.
Thank you,
Make
Trustee.
people aware that we did, and appreciate the comments and thoughts, and wanted to acknowledge that from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee, for updating us and making us all aware of that.
Okay.
So we're looking at the therapy dog,
Right.
or therapy animal suggestions. Oh, there we go.
That's so it
Yes.
would be the first attachment.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
It's like a Google.
Edit. Now, on the second one, it will. See that highlighted?
Yeah, hold on.
Where we need it to show. So give me just one moment, and I'm gonna.
We're good.
I'm gonna get this.
Gotta
over.
do. Yeah, yellow on the.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
second
Yeah.
one,
Second one, how about the third one?
but it's not clear what their record. Like,
I don't see.
well, what's not clear in the second one is,
First one.
what's not clear in the second one highlighted, but are they not wanting to do it, or?
Oh. Oh, yeah, I remember that was brought up.
What?
I think it's just us being, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's whether we're agreeable with that change. I mean, we already talked about
We
it, but
talked
now it's
about
been
it, yeah.
added.
Yep, the
So,
legal
does that
didn't
make
see any
sense?
concern with the
Yeah, so
adding
that
particular
statement,
detail.
APS will not contract with dogs
Mhm.
that have been trained on a shock collar. Was that?
As well, but what the board would be approving, I mean, other than, of course, having a look at the agreement and the regulations, is the actual policy language around now.
Okay.
Where they've added.
Oh, there it is.
Staff and.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Okay.
So the addition is staff, adding staff
District staff.
to
That's it.
student detail.
Boy, the magic of technology. So Lisinski's name popped up.
And then spelling out the therapy dog program. Yep.
that's just for, it looks like clarity to me.
Yep.
Yes.
I have no issues.
Okay.
Trustees have any other questions, suggestions, like that? Good to go.
Again, my apologies for missing that detail.
Thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to the consent agenda.
I can go ahead and read that consent agenda to approve Annex AN-2180 here on Pioneer and Skyline High School Auxiliary Athletic Field Synthetic Turf Replacements. Approve Annex AN-2181 Pioneer and Skyline High School Pool Scoreboards. Approve Annex AN-2182 District-Wide Snow Removal Services Contract Recommendation. Adopt Policy 2800 Therapy Animals. Approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 regular meeting, and approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 closed session.
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Could we first, I'm so sorry.
Oh, what?
First, ask if anyone would like to remove anything from the
thank
consent
you.
agenda.
Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Good to go.
Okay.
Now I move to accept the consent agenda.
Motion by trustee Ward Smith, second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Mohammed. Ms.
Any
Ozinski?
discussion?
Oh, yeah, any discussion? Ms. Ozinski?
Okay, very good. Trustee Mohammed,
Yes.
trustee Basket,
Yes.
trustee Dupree,
Yes.
and trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we are on to board action. First item A is motion to accept the 23-24 annual financial audit.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Ward Smith. The second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Mohammed. Ms. Lozinski?
Discussion?
Oh, any discussion? Oh, I keep forgetting that. None? All right.
Trustee Mohammed?
Yes.
Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
And Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. On to item B, motion to hold a closed session at 6 p.m. on November the 13th for the purpose of superintendent evaluation.
I'll motion.
Moved by trustee Mohammed, second by trustee Ward Smith. Any discussion?
The time of this, please?
At 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Mohammed?
Yes.
And Trustee Basket?
Yes.
Trustee Dupree?
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. We have moved on to items for agenda planning. Do any trustees have anything for items for agenda planning? All right.
Fire.
Okay. Seeing nothing, moving on. And we are on to items from the board. Anyone have any items from the board? Trustee Basket.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Just wanted to say thank you to the Ann Arbor branch of the NAACP for a wonderful dinner, our Freedom Fund dinner, to acknowledge the 268 students who in our schools who self-identify as African American and achieve a certain GPA average. Again, this was a wonderful celebration. We note that some of the students have been doing it more than 1 year. It was nice to see the sibling sets that we saw as well. And again, the entertainment was wonderful, again, by our students. And thank you, Ms. Parks, for your wonderful speech and acknowledgement of the students as well. So again, another great year, 268 students. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I would just like to address an article that was in the Observer. I think it came out, I don't know, a week ago perhaps. It talked about volunteerism in our schools and a question of whether, the number of parent volunteers has decreased, et cetera. And I just want to make it clear that we very much want parents to be part of the experience. I mean, you can't have a school, and I know this as a teacher, without all the time that parents give to our children. There was a quote in that particular article from Trustee Gaynor that mentioned that the district had passed a policy to discourage school visits. And I just want to clarify that there was a policy that was changed during my time on the board, because I've been on for 2 years. I was just about to finish 2 years. But that policy basically was to tighten up board visits so that we were not disruptive when we visit schools. We give a heads up to our principal and our superintendent when we're visiting a school. But I have never felt unwelcome, and board members are always able to visit as often as they want. So I just wanted to make sure that people understand that it was done more so we're not being disruptive to teaching and learning. Thank you.
Yeah. Trustee Basket.
And I just wanted to add, thank you, Trustee Schmidt, for bringing that up. Excuse me. I just wanted to add, it was also an element of equity. If we had expectations of our families, outside community, again, security of our children is utmost, then that should apply to us as board members as well. So I unfortunately did not have time to read the article, but just wanted to, again, address the point that there's no discouraging of visits. We just have to clarify the parameters regarding visits, because, again, if it applies to community members and our families, it should apply to us as trustees as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, trustee. Did anyone else have any items? Okay, I have one thing. So Veterans Day is coming up. It's actually next Monday on the 11th. So there will be an event celebrating veterans on November the 9th, starting at 6 p.m. It is going to be at the Ann Arbor Club. It's 103 East Liberty Street. There'll be a trustee speaking during there, so who so happens to be a veteran. So if you guys ever wanted to come through and show some support to us, that would be great. So that is all. So with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good night.
Good job, trustee.
10:23.